non-conference college football games. You look across the schedule here, man, there's a lot of good ones. And I was putting this together yesterday, full transparency. The games that look to be non-conference when you go up and down the schedules online, a lot of those games actually are just going to be interconference games. Like to give you a better example here, I'm going week by week yesterday, checking, okay, what do we got week 0? What do we got week 1? So on and so forth. And you see certain games, you're like, oh, Oregon plays Ohio State. It's going to be a great non-conference game. Big Ten conference game. Oklahoma and Tennessee, ooh, that'll be fun. Good non-conference game. They played before non-conference, back when Baker was there at Oklahoma. That's going to be a lot of fun. SEC conference game. So we're all about that. It's going to be a blast, but it was a little bit of a mind-bending exercise to put this together. But I just want to tell y'all, man, week 1 is absolutely stacked. Looking at these college football games, week 1, you got Miami at Florida. Major optics game. Major optics game. Both coaches were hired at the same time. Napier at Florida, Cristobal at Miami. This is going to be massive to tell us whether it's true or not. It's going to be the narrative coming out of this game. Who is further along? Who's done a better job since being hired? This is really a show-me year for both sides, both in Gainesville and in Coral Gables. I also think it's massive for recruits. Like, there's a lot of in-state battles going on now between the Gators and the Canes, and whoever wins that one can then pitch, oh, you don't want to go there. We just beat them. So, major impact on that one. Clemson and Georgia in Atlanta. Georgia favored by 12.5. I have to believe that both teams feel like this is a point to prove kind of year. Georgia, I've said it many times, I think they were the best team in college football last year if they were healthy. Now, not about being the best team on paper. You got to go prove it. And so Georgia didn't win the national championship last year. But it starts in the opener for both Clemson and Georgia. For Clemson, if they win this game, we talked through this on a previous show because one of y'all shot us a surprising headline of Clemson beating Georgia. If Clemson wins this game, talk about the belief that would inject into that team. The, okay, we can do it kind of feeling for them. Because it seems like they are sort of on the doorstep of a lot of those games. The Florida State game was one that we were at last year, and they really had that one won until a massive strip sack kind of changed the course of that game, forced overtime, didn't get it done. The belief around Clemson, South Carolina, if you beat Georgia in Atlanta to open the year, absolutely huge. Another week 1 game, LSU and USC, is going to be a Sunday game in Vegas. LSU currently favored by 6. Another year 3 versus year 3 situation in Brian Kelly versus Lincoln Riley. We have a year 3 versus year 3 in Miami and Florida and Napier and Cristobal. Whole lot of new in this one. Whole lot of new for both sides. New quarterbacks. I think it's Miller Moss for USC. They're going to battle during camp out there in Los Angeles. Garrett Nussmeier for LSU, getting the reins after Jaden Daniels won the Heisman last year. New DCs for both sides. Dantlin at USC. LSU's got Blake Baker into the fold. Like, they're trying to raise that brand of the defensive side of things for LSU. They're trying to get back to what they've been, and USC is just trying to be respectable on that side. I'm sure much more than that in-house, but they've got some pieces to pick up. Really good temperature check for both of those teams with the conferences changing how they are. The SEC adding Oklahoma and Texas. USC is entering into the Big Ten. Both of these rosters, I believe, are going to be in the upper tier of the college football landscape. That's a relative term, obviously. USC, we're still wondering a little bit about that defense and the rest of the offense. But LSU's got some pieces to go make a national championship run, I believe, if Garrett Nussmeier is who you think he's going to be. We're not finding out if they're a national title team in this game, but we'll learn a lot about what they have under the hood in Los Angeles and in Baton Rouge. So that'll be a lot of fun. Now, week 2, Texas is favored by 2.5 points at Michigan. This is the first big game of the official Sherrone Moore era. Now, of course, he had that 3-game stretch to end the year last year. I don't think you say this one is bigger than Ohio State when they came to town last year and you won that game. But, this is going to kind of be that alternate ending of last year's season. Like, what happens if Adonai Mitchell comes down with that in the back of the end zone and they beat Washington, does Texas, and then we get Texas at Michigan, or Texas versus Michigan, rather, in Houston. I guess it'd be Michigan at Texas, and we're going to kind of call it by the geographical locations. This is going to be major for Texas, getting a good gauge for them as they enter into the SEC. Major for Michigan as they kind of set the tone for the Sherrone Moore era. So, big optics game there as well. Week 3, Bama at Wisconsin. We just talked about Bama a little bit. This will be the first power conference game for Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide. If it was Nick Saban running the show, you're like, all right, cool, it'll be fun to watch. If I'm a Bama fan, maybe we make the trip out to Madison, explore Big Ten country while we get a quick dub. I don't think it's a guaranteed win this time. I'm not calling my shot here, but I'm just saying there's a lot more intrigue baked into a Bama-Wisconsin matchup, especially in Madison in this Week 3 game. And then for Wisconsin, this is your opportunity for Luke Fickell to get that signature win, to get the one that kind of kickstarts the Luke Fickell era in a much more exciting way. Not that last year wasn't good for Wisconsin. It was. It wasn't up to their standard, but I'm just saying for year 2 for Luke Fickell, if they can get a win over Alabama, right after you play jump around and entering into that fourth quarter, like vibes would be very, very high in Madison. Have to believe that. Now, I also want to talk about this game here, and this is one that is kind of a nice caveat, not a nice jumping off point into the rest of their games. Like, we have Notre Dame going to Texas A&M in Week 1. That'll be a ranked matchup. It'll be electric having those two brands in College Station, in Kyle Field. Like, it'll be awesome. It's the Mike Elko era beginning. It's Mike Elko versus Riley Leonard. That'll be phenomenal. But, like, you look at Notre Dame, it's kind of a cop-out because they don't have a conference, obviously, so every single game they play is a non-conference game. Anyone who told you that Notre Dame doesn't play anybody just lied to your face. Just disrespectfully lied to your face because they're at A&M. They play Louisville September. I think it's September 21st. You play Florida State. That's likely a major college football playoff implications kind of game. And then you finish at USC. Also, potentially for Notre Dame, it could be a playoff game. Who knows about USC? They could jump out of there and surprise some people and find themselves in that 12-team conversation. They're gonna earn their keep, is Notre Dame. So a lot of exciting games for them, which we put in the non-conference category, but a lot of exciting games, period, that start for them at A&M in Week 1. So a lot of fun ones on the docket there. A lot of fun ones on the docket. And hoping and praying we find ourselves out at one of those games. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.